I'm going to have you start because you've got the journal.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll bring my questions up just in case.
Yeah, and so the main topic is on vulnerability, right? For
Yeah.
you. Okay.
And strength.
I thought about it for a few days
Yeah.
and what I was going to say to you because, like we were talking about in the car, when it comes to like men and vulnerability, it's a little bit different than the feminine experience.
Totally.
But I have been exploring this with the males in my life as well, and it's a lot harder to get them to be in that essence, if that makes sense, because
Sure.
that's kind of in here what I call it. It's like it's a state of being. It's like an essence.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. And difficult to embody.
For men, or just for certain types of people?
Both. Yeah.
Why do you think it's difficult?
This interview is about you.
Well, I just want to know, like, why do you think it's difficult? Because it helps me.
The deck is stacked against most people. That's isolated to our culture, right? So nature versus nurture. Nurture has a lot of ammunition. There's a lot day to day that pressures against the nurture aspect.
Well, while I was showering, I was like, what am I going to say? And one thought I had was that being vulnerable isn't always. Well, when you think of the word vulnerability, what do you think of? What are the first things that come to your head? You've done these.
Yeah. Well, one is you're open to pain of some kind. You leave yourself open. There's danger, right? So it's like, how do you balance?
That's how you see it.
One aspect.
Yeah.
But there's many. It's like it's also a door,
Yeah.
right? Because there's
Okay.
something on the other side of vulnerability.
Okay. So this is just some of what I wrote,
Yeah.
and we'll expand upon this because it's only so much, and it helps things to flow, I feel. But while I was showering, one thought I had was like, being vulnerable isn't always being completely exposed or like naked or like open or bare to see for the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of people from face value think that's what it is.
Yep.
They're like, being vulnerable, I'm so exposed and open.
But
People will see through me, and
which is true, and
sometimes the deepest vulnerability and intimacy is experienced in silence and like a prude temperance. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you?
It's like, well, one is being seen and being heard. Now, prude temperance is interesting because
It is. I also said silence and prude temperance.
yeah, you don't have to say anything to be heard,
Yeah.
right?
You don't always have to say anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Some of the most vulnerable moments we share with others aren't simply when we reveal a deep secret about ourselves. It is oftentimes what we don't say or do, those things that we wish we had done, when we are lying awake in our bed thinking of when we're old and life is closer and closer to ending. There's this beauty and safety in all things predictable and routine, yet we are our most vulnerable and creatively expressing ourselves when we are plunging ourselves into our dreams, not knowing what the outcome will be, but knowing that we won't wish we had taken a chance. We'll get older and say, look at what I did, right? I'm so grateful I took a chance and opened my heart. It is the most vulnerable thing a human can do. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Is, knowing when it's time to not say something. And a lot of the times I think I've come to realize men struggle with that because they think that vulnerability is scary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they've been trained to.
Maybe.
And how does someone open their heart? How does someone know what their heart is? How does someone know what their heart wants?
Well, it's kind of intuitive, not for everyone, because there's different, it's kind of like taking a hike. There's going to be different forks in the road, and different trees and different rocks and things that you get to look at while you're hiking, and you have to know what a thing is in order to like name it and identify it. You have to be able to like understand what it is that you are looking at, if that makes sense, so that you can find your way back to the start, or you know, get to the top, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You want to say a little bit more about intuition?
Like what?
Well, it's great when you're on a path and you see a fork in the road, and it's that little voice inside you says go left.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be attuned to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's other voices that are saying go left or go right.
Yeah, that happened
distinguish?
to me on my way here,
Yeah.
where like my partner said, this is the way to get there. And then there was a fork in the road, and I was like, did he say to go this way or this way? And then I just went the way I wanted, but it led to the same place, but it was not the same walk.
Right. And that's exactly, because no matter how many turns, we're all ending up in the same place, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people will like think like sex and physical intimacy are vulnerability, or like having your first child, or doing these things that are expected of us. However, I think that like that creates more fear, because some people fear that happening to them because the things that they think are going to come out of it. And I feel like it's also sort of programmed inside of us. It feels kind of like it's in our programming to do those things. And so some people, especially men, will confuse being vulnerable with, oh, well, I asked her to marry me, and that's an intimate thing, and I was being vulnerable in that moment. There is a sense of vulnerability there, but just asking someone to marry you does not mean you're being vulnerable. Does that make sense? It's just like that pre-programmed act that everybody is either going to do or don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are these things that are almost like pre-programmed into us, like having a child, like getting married, like going on your first date.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movies, that is depicted as being vulnerable. And so we grow up, like you said, thinking these actions are vulnerability, when really we are acting in a way. Like,
yeah.
And I also wrote more on that topic, but it says, what all combined that we do in our lives that sets things into a course where you are facing the unpredictable nature of life without hiding from it or resisting it, even if it is a simple shared silence, a loss of words, mustering up the courage to go for someone or something, even when you know all odds are against you. It's as vulnerable a thing as a baby bird. And it's not competitive, it just is. It's not something we intentionally are or become. It more so washes over us, and oftentimes is expressed before we even realize that it's happening. So the more it's kind of like, there's this concept that is in like sort of spiritual philosophy, where like the more you try to grasp at something,
Mm-hmm.
the more it like pulls away from you. But then like when you surrender, it kind of just happens upon you, and you're like, I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
And then it's just all of a sudden there. And that's kind of what I believe happens. And then when we reflect on those moments, and as we remember, we realize the times where we have been the most vulnerable were the moments we felt the most connected and alive in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are really stunted in this wave, I guess. It's like a wave. They kind of have like, if you think of a surfer who he just keeps trying and trying and trying to like force himself into a wave, and then keeps falling and falling.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like when he just kind of is like sitting there waiting and not paying attention, then the wave all of a sudden comes, and then he's all of a sudden riding.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that happen a lot in California where like I was sitting there watching surfers,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched it happen, and it was one of those things where you don't really plan it. It just kind of comes to you, and that's how I imagined it. I don't surf, but that's the way that like I would like tap into them and be like, what is this that they're doing? What must this be like? And a lot of it is like this wave. It's like a wave of experience. And like going back to what I was saying about fear being an element that is a block. And I don't really know how to help people climb over that.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes I think there can be too much of a good thing. And when that happens, sometimes, like we were talking about in society, that block just grows like one more brick at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have all of the answers to what will kind of create a door, like you said, in that wall.
Right.
But I do think that after reflecting on it, the fears that do hold even me back from truly, spiritually, mentally as a whole being, immersing myself in a world where like I do feel like it's not scary to be vulnerable with people. And I go through that too. So I can recognize it, not in a perfect way, but it's, if you know how it feels, it's easy to see it in other people, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. I'm going to read the rest of what's in here,
Please.
and then I'm going to close it, because that's it.
I love it. Yeah, keep going.
I'm just going to back up a little bit and read it through to the end, and then we can chat. So, as we remember, we realize the times where we have been the most vulnerable were the moments we felt the most connected, alive, and truly ourselves in our lives. And some people are really stunted in this wave of experience due to their personal fears. Those fears hold them back from living the lives they truly spiritually and mentally as a whole being long for. So this experience is essential for survival, but it at the same time can't be captured or fed to us. It can't be bought or sold, and that's the most sacred thing about it. You can fake it, stage it, and act it out, but to really, really, and truly experience it when we do, those moments too become sacred to us.
Yeah. I have so many questions.
About what?
The first one is, what are you letting go of so you can ride the upcoming wave?
I think monetary possessions hold us back, such as, like I was telling you, I have all these journals. And there was a time in my life where I completely got rid of everything I owned.
Purged.
When I was in my early, heading on to middle 25, I was like, all this stuff is holding me back. I want to go to Santa Fe. I don't want to have like all this stuff. I don't want to have to pay rent here. I don't want to have to turn my
Just drop it all.
Yeah, so I just donated it all to a shelter, and I was like, get it off me, and wound up with just like one suitcase that rolled around with me. And then as I went forward, I got rid of more and more things, and then all of a sudden I had a backpack. And I would just buy new clothes whenever I needed, and then get rid of those things if I didn't want them, until I started dating my recent partner, and then all of a sudden, all out of nowhere, I have all this stuff again. So I think and it's not a lot either, like it's just one apartment of things, and it's like I felt more free and like I was living within myself when I had less things.
Mhm.
And now I feel like I can't part from the things I have, and I don't know why. They're not more valuable than the things I had before. They're almost like replications in different form of what I used to have before. And then there's this beauty in like family and having a place where like you can store things like diaries and journals and stuff. But a thing that has happened upon me coming into my 30s is like, oh, okay, my mother's a grandmother now, and I can't just like leave my things with my mom anymore. Like important stuff like that, because she's getting older, you know, it's kind of like you have to have this level of responsibility. And so to answer your question, that in my life right now is kind of one of the things that's like blocking me from feeling like I can be enmeshed in life and free and feel fully like in that state of strength and like I'm living my true purpose, because it's blocking me from just going wherever I want, whenever I want, if that makes sense. And I feel like a lot of people go through that. I don't feel like I'm alone.
No, you're not. It makes me think of what is Black Friday, right? Where people trample over others to get things.
Mm-hmm. They don't even know what
So
you
wow.
look like, and they don't remember who you were, like the person standing next to you.
Yeah.
I've never gone to those
Same.
things.
It's disgusting.
Scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Like, every year, like people die from like trying to get a TV.
So sad.
It is, but they're attachments. But for what? The question is, like, what is the attachment? How does it hold on and grab? A lot of times, for a lot of people, it's a comfort. So you may have recycled, or you purged, you kind of recycled. They're not saying it doesn't even have to be worth anything. Just an object is a symbol of comfortability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the attachment to
That's
comfort.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
That like little sentence and section where I reflected on like I use my imagination and put myself in my older body, where like I'm married, I have a house, I have all of these things, and I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about all the things I didn't do, and I can't sleep.
Right.
And that's kind of like the root of it, is like I'm holding on to all of these things, and life is gonna go, and like, am I even gonna have them? Like, is holding on to them going to serve me later? I don't know.
And what does it mean to really have those things? And in the same way that society coaches us on those things, coaches the same way on vulnerability, like you were saying. Conditioning.
Yeah.
It's just years and years of it.
Yeah.
And it compounds.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer someone goes, the harder it is to break that stranglehold.
Yeah, and the more they acquire, and that's kind of like my block right now, is like I don't want to acquire more, but I also don't want to let go, but I also want something different. And
And it's completely possible to have both.
yeah.
And have it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just your relationship to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it ties into like that freedom, and I don't know if I would regret getting rid of like a dress in my closet when I'm old, laying in bed and like, oh man, I sure do miss that dress so much. Or like, I don't, you know?
Depends on the dress, but yeah.
It's just like a metaphor for everything, though.
It makes me think of the longest running sociological survey ever. It's like going on 100 years. It's maybe like 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Harvard asked end-of-life patients a series of questions about happiness.
Okay.
And it's like, it's not anything they created. It's not the wealth. It's not the things. Every single time, it's relationships.
Memories of people
Yeah.
that they loved.
And the relationships they've created throughout their life.
Yeah. That's powerful. And you witness it, and if you have grandparents or like older parents, when they are, because I have grandparents who are on their deathbeds, and the things that they talk about are very much just people they loved, and they don't really talk about, oh, where's my old crochet thing. They don't really say, you don't catch them talking about really even their favorite food, which is strange because we love to consume.
And take pictures of food, which is so wild.
Yeah. No shame.
No shame. No judgment either.
Yeah.
But it's just different,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It's like, again, an attachment to a comfort of some degree. It doesn't mean to like give up everything and be a nomad or a monk.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. It's knowing the appropriate time to give things up and the appropriate time to hold on.
Mm-hmm.
And that can tie into more than just personal belongings.
So where does this wave take you?
Back to shore, I guess.
Well, sure.
Whenever I was younger, I always think about this because my first love, we met in high school, and we grew up just like 5 miles down the street from each other, and our families went to the same high school we did, and it's like generations of people who lived in this little community. And one day I accidentally left my high school English notebook at his place while we were all like doing music, and I didn't know that I left it there, but he texted me and asked me, is it okay if I read this notebook? He asked first. And I was like, yeah, go for it, I guess. I didn't even know I left it there. I would like to have it back. But yeah, he read through it, and the one thing I remember out of that notebook is he mentioned to me that I was writing about like my fear at the moment. And when I was a teenager, my teacher asked us that day what our biggest fear was, and I think about this like almost every day. I don't know why, but I wrote like this whole thing about the unknown, and I wrote it really big at the top. That was like the title of it, and it was just like unknown, the unknown. And so the whole excerpt, I don't remember it word for word, but I know that it was about my fear of not knowing what's coming, and like kind of, I was also not totally atheist, but kind of like bridging on atheism because I grew up in a very Catholic household as well as like
That'll do it.
a Christian Baptist household. So both my parents had different families of different beliefs, and so I was always torn between them, and then also witnessed them not following these beliefs at the same time. So it was very confusing because I did voluntarily even go to church on my own as a child. But then there came this time in my teenage angst where I like stopped believing in anything, and so I addressed what I call God now as like a healed person, the unknown, because I didn't know what it was. And as a teenager, you just kind of like make these things up in your head. And so everything that was unknown to me, both in like spirituality, what was coming for me as an adult, like my genuine capabilities as a human being, and that excerpt kind of like sticks with me everywhere I go, even though I wrote it when I was so young. And it was a moment where he and I talked about it, and he was like, what does this mean to you? Because it kind of feels like you're talking about fearing God to me. And I was like, it kind of is, but I don't call it that. And he kind of brought me back to my beliefs, if that makes sense, that I have now. Because at the time I was very upset at everybody and everything, and I didn't believe that there was anything out there. And so I just wrote about it as if it was the unknown, and it was this thing that we could never understand or like name. And it was very simplified, and I think I come back to it because I think it's easier to make sense of like how my teenage self saw things versus how I see things now as an adult.
Right. More complex now.
Yeah, so much jargon.
Right.
And I think that happens to everybody.
Yeah, it's just the nature of it. So do you have a new way to describe the unknown?
Well, now to me, the unknown is just simply things that I can't know, that we as a society and humanity just, no matter how hard we try or how many tools we create, and it's not so scary anymore to me. I was terrified of it as a teenager.
Because you realize that
and now I seek it. Now I'm like, I want to like, and it's so funny because then they created Frozen, like the little cartoon, you know, and then they're like singing about going into it, and I'm like, oh no. And it's so like parallel. It's so funny because I never even thought about that until now. But then like they have this little theme song going on, and it's like, what the heck?
Well, is there any fear with you now about the unknown?
In terms of like genuinely letting go of, like I was saying, that this is my biggest block, because I'm in a chapter in my life where I am in a fork in a road where like I have to decide, do I want to marry this person, or am I gonna let go of everything and have kind of like a mini non-legal divorce and go my own way? And I feel like I don't know if because I don't have enough friends who are in their 30s in this chapter of my life. So a lot of like my friends that are younger are like, oh my God, it's so easy. Like just, start over.
Yeah.
And most of them are either married already and have kids, or they have been chronically single for a really long time. But when you're in a long-term relationship, I would say past 5 years, for any adult in society, like letting go of those longer relationships is always a challenge, and there's not enough discourse about how to handle like breakups that are almost like a divorce, because your lives are so enmeshed and you're not legally married, but you've been living together and with each other for so long that it almost feels like you are divorcing that person, even if it's not on paper. And we don't have enough like discourse about that, I don't think
we have enough discourse about much. Yeah, especially something like relationships. I mean, people talk about relationships all the time, but it's not very elevated.
Yeah. Not socially, because it can be really uncomfortable.
Right, who wants to be uncomfortable?
But that's what I mean, like, I'm glad that I wrote that little excerpt, and I'm more so glad that he read it, because I feel like it wouldn't have made as big of a deal to
Such
my mind.
An impact, yeah.
Yeah, for someone to actually like see what I was going through and what I was thinking, and also tell me I have those fears too.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, is there, because I'm seeing a connection between that story and what you may need now. Like someone to see you from that side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like when writers write stories about characters, it's usually about themselves in a big way.
Yeah, like Virginia Woolf.
So it's like, what about this story of vulnerability and the unknown is about you in this position now? So you may have already figured it out. It's just right there.
No, it's not. I don't have it figured out. I think the connection is always there, and it drives me as a person. It keeps me sort of continuously opening my heart instead of running away scared, if that makes sense. Which I have done, obviously. We do that to like protect ourselves and become stronger people. The same person that read that journal entry, his mother one day, we were talking to each other, and I asked her how she became so strong, and there was this thing that she said to me that I also wrote about. She said, it is on those easy days where like everything is calm and you have the time to kind of look back at your life and you have the time to reflect on everything that you see your strength.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in tying what his mother said and what he and I talked about. It's like those moments where you're building the endurance and like you're delving into the things that scare you the most.
Mm-hmm.
Build your, I guess, spiritual muscles.
Resilience.
Yeah, it's not just resilience, because you can have resilience without building strength, and you can be a resilient person without learning a lesson every single time.
Right.
And so I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but that's just kind of like how I see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you don't have all the answers. And maybe some will come, maybe some won't. But that's part of like letting go, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Which is not the easiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially one that in big life decisions, you know. Do you want to go into that anymore?
What?
I guess my question is, what are you looking for that you don't have now?
More freedom, and I don't mean freedom as in like.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say freedom.
Why?
Because part of it's kind of at the center point between everything we're talking about. It's letting go. It's waiting for the wave, not fighting the ocean for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a losing battle.
Yeah.
It's a coming to an understanding where you can better navigate without attachments, because every attachment just reduces your freedom. So this idea of freedom sits in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So the big questions are, what makes you most free? And it may be something you're discovering.
That's another thing that I said to him. This first thought I mentioned is, my freedom is the most important thing to me. I can't lose it. And I feel like for fighting for it, like constantly like wanting to feel like I'm free, it makes me feel more and more like I'm stuck.
Mm. You know, full freedom is chaos.
Yeah. You have to have it balanced.
Right.
Is that what you mean?
I think so. I'm still figuring it out, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a great deal of respect that comes with freedom. How to navigate it, own it, participate in it, allow it, offer it.
Yeah, because when you think of someone who is houseless or living on the streets, they have an essence of complete freedom, but they're so sad.
Sometimes it's a spiritual journey.
Yeah, and you would think that without having to because I've experienced that before, not to that capacity, but to where I stayed and was comfortable in it, but to where I was a vagabond, nomad, gypsy person, and I found myself, when I got rid of all of that stuff, I was like, where do I go? I can go wherever I want. And there was a moment where I was outside in the middle of the night, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm sitting here and I'm gonna wait and then get a bus and go somewhere else. And I didn't feel scared, and I did feel free. I didn't, but I knew it wasn't like I was stuck in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the difference. It's
Yeah.
it was complete freedom, but if it had lasted longer than what was comfortable,
Right.
it would have not felt like freedom.
Interesting.
It's a stark contrast.
Yeah. And fear lets the needle its way in all of those crevices.
Mm-hmm, that's what I was saying. Fear stops people from being vulnerable and stops people from feeling like they can do the things they really want to do. So.
Yeah. Let me ask this differently then. In the context of fear and freedom, is there fear of making a big change so that you can see yourself in a new way, but fear of what that new way is?
It's the unknown thing.
Right.
It's even not knowing parts of yourself and meeting those parts of yourself. And so that's why it takes a lot of introspection, like you said, connection with other people and conversations with someone. For me, in my therapy experiences that I've had in my lifetime, which I feel like it was essential, like as essential as water and food.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get out of some of those early things that were keeping me in that state of like non-belief, and I'm not saying people have to like change their beliefs or believe in God to be able to have this experience, because
They don't.
when I was a teenager I clearly didn't. But I evolved over time, and I changed my mind out of my own merit, not out of someone kind of like trying to force me, because if that would have been the case, I probably would have never changed. So it kind of ties back into what you were saying earlier. They have to want to do something, as well as like, not only do you have to want it, sometimes you're forced into it when you don't want it, and then in those moments, how do you navigate that?
Yeah. That's a fun one.
Do you have any other questions?
Tom? Is there anything, I mean, the thing is, I'm not trying to, nothing needs to be solved, right?
Yeah. Sometimes when you approach people, making them feel, and I've done this to my own partner, and I don't do it on purpose, and I think it's something I even just barely realized that I was doing, is I've realized like the more I try to approach him for these moments of being vulnerable and talking about things, he will say something like, "You're the last person I want to talk about this with." And it's not, I don't take it personally, because I know he doesn't mean it like, "You're the last person I ever want to be vulnerable with," because there are moments where he is completely and totally vulnerable with me. And there's just some wounds that are so deep that goes back into me talking about therapy, is you can't share them with the ones you love the most because of how much it hurts. And you need somebody who is neutral to the circumstances that can help to guide you through. It's kind of like having a tour guide in a way. And I don't mean that in such, it is a little bit more lighthearted when you say it like that, but it is. It's like you're in a new place. You don't know where to begin.
And the heart's a big place. It definitely needs a tour guide or two.
Yeah. And I know he didn't mean it in a way that's like offensive to me, and I could have taken it in an offensive way, but I just think like some men especially haven't met themselves there yet, and the more I've been trying to like open, the more he closes, and it just feels like I was writing in here saying it's something that just happens naturally. You can't force it.
Well, there are certain things that happen that force things. There's jumps in evolution because of experiences, trauma especially. But it's, the saying, hurt people, but heal people. And I guess how much,
I would even say people who are on a path of healing awaken others to begin their own healing.
Absolutely, it's like leading by example. Something I like to talk about a lot is sacred leadership. And so important, especially someone who can guide men more.
when I initially started thinking about this topic, when you first inquired with me, one image that kept coming into my head was our consumption of things and how we as a society and people, we're all constantly consuming things, whether it's food, time with each other, the work that we're doing. And I think having the awareness to surround, like, okay, what is the limit and where are my limits and what is the level that I'm at in this consumption, especially with like social media. And a lot of it is really difficult to break through too, because for many people, especially after the pandemic, there's like this whole new way of connecting and communicating with each other, to where like growing up when I did, we would just go outside and people were there and we could hang out, even if you were meeting a new kid, like you would go outside and you would meet someone new. Even as a teenager, like you go out and you go to the mall or something and you make a new friend, or you go to like skating or something like that. But now, as adults in our playground, it's almost like people want to be constantly mind altered to connect with each other, and I just don't think that that's efficient. And it's
it's superficial.
Yeah, it's an escape for a lot of people too. And so how can you connect when you're constantly trying to escape?
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Really, not deeply.
And it's not true. Like, you can seem like you're being vulnerable when you're under the influence of alcohol or something like that, but it's one of those vulnerabilities that is sort of fake. It seems genuine, and it seems like it's really happening, and it can feel that way too, but it seems like it's kind of synthetic vulnerability.
Yeah, it's a whole facade.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, which I never really thought about. It is synthetic.
Yeah, totally. And unfortunate. Because all the options we have for consumption, we choose there's an app for that. There's a pill for that. There's a synthetic version of that. But alternatively, like, there's real options too.
And society does make it a little bit difficult to find where they are, but when you do, it's such a charm.
Yeah, and it's the thing that it's all the endorphin, serotonin, and things get released by like scrolling, for example. The same things happen in a human interaction, but they last 10 times longer. They're sustained.
And they're slower to rise.
Right, and slower to fall. Right. So there's this whole energy off of truer, deeper connection, but we avoid it.
Yeah, unintentionally, I think. I don't think it's with intention. I think it's a very subconscious thing, and it's all for the fear and to protect yourself from being hurt. And you want to be hurt. Like, you don't want to, but like, to live a full life, you have
to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Take a risk. Have a conversation with a stranger, whatever it is. And the more you're out there, the more opportunity and chances you have to experience that. And here, less.
Yeah. And the virtual reality. And it can be used as a tool, but I think society is going into a direction where it's the primary way, because people are scared and people don't know where to go. They're like, do I go to the bar? Do I go to the club? Do I go to the music show?
Right.
Where do I go?
And where are all the mentors and guides that can facilitate better direction?
Yeah. When you think of like old Bridgerton or like high society, I don't know if you know what Bridgerton is, but
I do.
Where like they knew where to go. You know what I mean? And there were people like Lady Danbury, who's like the mentor of the Bridgerton mother, and they're always walking together and talking.
Mhm.
And I think society now does lack that, and it needs more of it.
Yeah.
People need to feel like when they've grown up without a father, for example, you'll meet people in society who won't right away tell you, but will seek conversation with a close friend or like try to find ways to get that fatherly mentorship. And a lot of times people think that just because they're not kids anymore, they can't get it, but that's not true.
No.
It's a fallacy.
A complete fallacy.
And you're never too old to
No.
learn. And
Just more opportunity for high quality. Yeah.
there's a definite need. So, I would say that you do have to open your heart to it and know that other people who do experience it transcend. And I think that's at the end of the day all anybody is wanting to do before they're old and dying. Because if they do get to be old and die, it's like life is so fleeting that you want to constantly be like a butterfly in a cocoon where like you're growing past yourself. And you, like I was telling you, my first love's mother said, that's in those moments when you are in that cocoon where you get to reflect, and that's where you see your strength. Because I was telling her I was still young at the time too, and I was like, I don't feel like I can be strong like you are. And she was like, one day you will and you'll remember. And she didn't say it like that, but I think that's how it was intended. And it's something I always held on to. And I think it's something valuable for people to know.
Massively. I want to talk about you being in a cocoon now, as you're coming out.
I feel like I'm still in.
Yeah.
And
But you're coming out soon.
cannot be rushed.
No. And good things shouldn't be, you know. Do you want to take a break and then get to that later?
Sure.
Or do you want to keep going?
We can probably take a break and then talk the rest outside.
Let's do
Does
it.
that sound good? That sounds good to me.
Cool.